Hello and welcome to round 6 of Pro Tour Born of the Gods here in Valencia, Spain. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm here with Hall of Famer Randy Buehler, and we are watching Hall of Famer Jon Finkel lead off with a Misty Rainforest against Shahar Shenhar. Jon is playing Storm, and Shahar and his noble hierarchs are playing Big Zoo. What is Big Zoo, Randy?
Well, most people's first draft of the Zoo deck is a very aggressive deck, right? It's Curd Ape, it's Loam Lion. It's really trying to attack as quickly as possible. Nicodle, obviously. You can put a lot of really quick creatures into play, but the strategy that really, Brian Kibler for years has been the proponent of trying to take that mid-range strategy, trying to be a little slower than the aggressive deck and have a little more to the curve. You know, Loxodon Smiter, Knight of the Reliquary. And so that's kind of Big Zoo. That's really what Kibler won Pro Tour Austin with. And because Anger of the Gods has crept into so many deck lists, it's really the way most of the Zoo decks at this tournament have gone. They're not as aggressive as they could be. They're a little bit slower in order to be good against the other creature decks. But this is the matchup where you just want to race. Like, the Storm deck does not plan on interacting at all, and Shahar's going to try to deal 20 as quickly as possible before Jon can sort of sculpt the perfect hand to just go off with Pyromancer's Ascension. Jon also clearly won the die roll here. Yeah, so it's an uphill fight for the Big Zoo deck in particular.
Jon had a Thought Scour at the end of Shahar's first turn. Shahar shocked himself and actually bolted himself, took 3 damage to play a Noble Hierarch between his fetch land and his stomping ground.
Yeah, Shahar's life total is not super relevant.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps if Grave Shot only has to do 14.
If Jon's going to be able to do a lot of damage, it's generally going to be enough. Thought Scour blew past a Sleight of Mind and Sleight of Hand and a Pyromancer's Ascension.
Gitaxian Probe, a card that's probably more powerful in Jon's hands than almost anybody's. Like, when Finkel knows what you're holding, it's just unfair.
He didn't concede right here? Damn.
Only one land for Shahar.
Yeah, he sees Scavenging Ooze, Lightning Bolt, Tarmogoyf, Loxodon Smiter. Of course, the signature, the artist's signature on the deck, a Domri Raid.
There you go.
And I believe that's a Kessig Wolf Run there.
It is
the other land, so it's not even it's doing any kind of color mana producing. Although the Hierarchs doing a little work there.
Okay, Loxodon Smiter is a card that seems really well positioned for this weekend, just not this matchup. Still probably be Shahar's turn 2 play. Yeah, nothing for turn 2 for Jon there. The good deck for the Storm deck would have been the Electromancer. Goblin Electromancer is what you really want to be playing on turn 2. Making all the rest of the cards cheaper, it really just accelerates everything that Storm wants to do.
Sure. But he's really worried about it dying there.
Does he have one in his hand?
He does have one in his hand.
Oh, my.
Yes. Instead, he chose cast Desperate Ravings at the end
I guess he saw the Lightning Bolt, right?
Yeah.
He saw the Lightning Bolt, and so decided not to risk the Electromancer.
So they roll a die to
Desperate
turn the card.
Ravings is going to knock the card away.
Yep. Gets a Ritual out of his hand.
Which is basically a hit.
Yeah.
Another probe.
Jon's really looking for that Pyromancer Ascension so he can start doubling up on all his spells.
Yeah, this is the game plan here, is to essentially dig and try to find. He has to find Pyromancer's Ascension. He basically can't win without it. He'd like the Electromancer.
So Jon's going to go to 15 as he sacks his Misty Rainforest for an island. Does a little sleight of hand.
Can you tell what those are?
I cannot tell what those cards are. I think one of them might be a Metamorphose. But, yep.
Yep. Needs to find the Ascension.
So now Serum Visions. How much time does Jon have here? How many turns do you think it would take Shahar to close the game out from here?
Well, he can attack for 5 next turn. And then play, what's in Shahar's hand?
I don't know, a giant Tarmogoyf?
Yeah, it's a big Tarmogoyf, which is then threatening to attack for 10. So Jon's has to win on his next turn.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Which is about right. I mean, he's supposed to win on turn 4.
What's Vimashu? It's called the fundamental turn. That's the fundamental
Yeah, I mean,
turn for this deck.
The quote I've heard secondhand is that Jon says he can win on turn 3, something like
Off of
20,
an
25%.
Electromancer.
Yeah, you really need an Electromancer to make that work. But he's supposed to be able to win on turn 4. That said, he's not had a particularly good draw here. I mean, he's got a bunch of lands in his hand. He has not managed to find the Ascension.
So we have a back table result. Living End is up 1-0 in the hands of Michael Hetrick over Federico Del Basso's blue-white-red deck.
Yeah, it's a pretty healthy helping of Living End running around this weekend. Coast was a little more clear without Deathrite Shamans to eat at the graveyard.
Although I've talked to some players, I know
Yeah,
at
you
least
could
one
win
player,
through a Deathrite Shaman.
I knew some players who felt like Graveyard Hate was actually less formidable with Deathrite Shaman than it is now.
Because now people have to have dedicated, really good cards.
Yes.
Instead of making the mistake of relying on just a Deathrite.
Right. Instead of being complacent on their Deathrite, here comes Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
No, I said Goy.
I said Goyf, not Go.
Sounds like, really? I can untap? Okay.
The new Draw Goyf deck.
Oh, he gets to leave up Lightning Bolt, too. Yeah, Jon has to win this turn.
It's
And
going to
it
be
seems really hard.
very hard for him to
Well, I guess can chump block with Electromancer? Or Electromancer will eat a Bolt? How big is Tarmogoyf?
Take 2. Go to 15. Yeah. Play a wall. Go.
Seems hard to imagine Jon surviving another attack phase. With 10 life to play with.
3. I can guess what they are.
Tarmogoyf's a 4/5.
Nicottle's a 3/3. There's any number of ways Jon dies here.
Pay 2 life, I guess, because.
Yeah. He knows he's dead. I mean, he knows he's dead if he doesn't win this turn, so he can pay those 2 life for Gitaxian Probe without any guilt or any fear.
Throw off my probe.
Still got a Desperate Ravings in the graveyard, right?
Yep.
But,
Then it costs 3.
yeah. Manamorphose needs to hit here, I think. Randomly losing the ritual to the Desperate Ravings didn't help.
Yep.
Oh, that counts. Another Manamorphose.
Of course, he'd love to be doing this with the Electromancer in play.
Right. And the Ascension.
Yeah. But I'm saying even with the Electromancer, he's gaining a mana on the
Right,
Manamorphose each time.
Sure.
He still has 2 mana floating.
The Goblin Electromancer.
1 mana floating.
Just a red floating.
Now, do you think Shahar should bolt the Electromancer here?
Guessed.
His response? I mean, here's his first chance. It's his response to Manamorphose. And Jon knows it, and Jon knows that Shahar knows.
He still gets to cast the Manamorphose for 1.
Right. But Shahar could bolt the Electromancer so that all future spells
Absolutely.
do not get the discount. I would, I'm pretty sure. Because the thing is, yeah, if he doesn't bolt the Electromancer, it's also available as a jump blocker next turn. So it's almost
15, right?
as good as hitting Jon.
Another match from the back table. Ben Lundquist with Affinity has defeated Scapeshift or is up 1-0
Okay.
over Scapeshift.
Have this one resolved, generating a red and a blue. Draw a card.
So John casts Metamorphose in response to Metamorphose.
So he gets another 1 mana.
Yes.
Another 1 mana Metamorphose out around the Lightning Bolt. I still think Shahar's play is correct there.
Use a blue and make a thought scour myself.
John's still responding to the Lightning Bolt, right?
Yep.
Grape Shot.
How many spells does he cast?
Yeah, it's time to start counting.
So we have another Storm deck that in the feature match area. This one did not fizzle in game 1. Chris Fennell won on the legendary turn 3
Oh.
against Tomohiro Saito's Infect deck.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, turn 3 is the good draw.
Right, tell me ready. Scavenge blues in your hand.
Does John have...
John still has a Metamorphose on the stack and I think a Thought Scour on the stack, or no?
the Thought Scour resolved.
Okay.
And now he's trying to figure out if he wants to add anything else to the stack on top of the Lightning Bolt. So before the Electromancer dies. I'm not sure how much mana he has floating.
My 8th spell. I think it might be with just 1 red.
Okay, he's going to be down to just 1 red.
One, you're flashing back your desperate ratings.
Right.
You have how much mana flowing right now?
You
Before
should
that? The Metamorphose hasn't resolved yet.
Right. So.
you should
Oh,
have
sorry. I only have 1. That's why I didn't care.
Yeah.
Sorry. Or was it back?
Yeah.
Alright, sorry.
With that Metamorphose not having resolved yet, John does not have enough
Size,
mana
That
Red and
resolves.
blue.
to flash back Desperate Ravings now. So the Bolt is going to take out the Electromancer. Now that Metamorphose is going to resolve,
He gets
John's
to
going to
draw.
get 2 mana up to 3, I
And he
believe?
gets to draw a card
And he
as
gets
well.
to draw a card. Did he draw?
I don't think he did, but
Alright. Sorry, that's 7 spells, right?
Yeah.
7 spells. So we can kill the Smiter and the Nicodle? Is that good enough? Tarmogoyf hits for 5?
I'll Grape Shot for 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the backup plan. Sometimes you go off, you can't get all the way there. It's really hard to get all the way there without an Ascension. So you kill as much as you can. Did buy himself a turn, but I mean, John's sitting on land, so that turn is...
Creature, instant, sorcery, and there's an enchantment, so it's 5.
Yeah. He's a 5, 6. No bucks.
2.
Yeah.
News.
Yeah.
Go.
John draws... Sleight of Hand. Maybe?
That's slave hands.
Can he get there from...
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. No, he cannot get there. So Shahar Shenhar takes game 1.
Sorry about that. Man.
No problem.
In my head, I was like, okay, I have 3. I'm like, why didn't I like have my Desperate Raving?
All right, and then we'll return down to the floor after these messages.
Outfit your Magic collection with the newest Born of the Gods accessories from Ultra Pro. You can see the full array of card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and portfolios of your favorite Magic artwork at ultrapro.com. You've watched the Pro Tour. How about playing on the Pro Tour? Qualifiers for Pro Tour Journey into Nyx are going on now around the world, with winners earning an invitation and airfare to Atlanta this May. Visit wizards.com/PTQ for more information.
All right, it looks like we're going to check in on Michael Hetrick versus Federico Del Basso. Hetrick is up 1-0, and we're in the middle of game 2.
Oh, Hetrick just resolved Living End? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so to explain how Living End works when you're how you get to cast this card,
Right.
other than suspending it.
Right. The Living End is clearly the key card about the deck. There are Cascade spells in the deck, and nothing else costs less than 3. So any Cascade spell that you cast is guaranteed to hit a Living End, killing whatever's in play, bringing back whatever you've managed to cycle into the graveyard.
So it looks like it was a fairly small living
It
end.
does. Did we hear the life totals? Yeah, that's not much. Deadshot Minotaur and a Shriek Maw? 12 to 17. Hetrick's up a game, right? He won the first one?
Yes, he did.
Is that Jun Charm you just drew?
That is a Jun Charm.
How big's the Tarmogoyf? 4 or 5? Yeah, this deck starts to get weird. The second Living End is always tricky because the first one usually wiped out your opponent's side of the board and put a bunch of creatures in their graveyard.
Yeah, I saw some weird interactions last round with Hetrick where his opponent had Rest in Peace him, and he was like able to use his. So he was able to use Living Ends with
Well, then they're just
impunity.
Wrath of Gods.
Yeah, they were just Wrath of Gods. It was pretty sweet. But then he had to just like hard cast Deadshot Minotaurs to win.
Yeah, he can cast pretty much all the creatures he's got, right? I mean, they're all castable if necessary.
See Del Basso scratching his head again. More of that. What are these cards?
Yeah, how many
Modern is so
creatures?
big.
Yes, it is. How many creatures in Del Basso's graveyard?
It looks like is that just a Loam Lion?
Yeah, Del Basso is Zoo, and he's the super aggressive Zoo. He's fast Zoo. Nicodle, Loam Lion, Curd Ape, Tarmogoyf. He does have Geist of St. Troft. Is, maybe a little tech that not everybody
Right.
has. He's gone into the 4th color to get Geist.
He's got Tribal Flames, which is the.
Oh, he's Tribal Zoo.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Tribal Flames, when you get all the colored lands off the Sackland Fetch Land engine, hits for 5. So Tribal Zoo branching out to make Tribal Flames go to 5, and Geist of St. Traff comes down. Then Gorkland Rampager is also quite good in this deck.
Here comes Tarmogoyf and the double block.
Path to Exile on the Shriek Maw means the Tarmogoyf beats up the Minotaur in a fight, right?
It does.
Does Hetrick have a trick here? Seems like Jun Charn probably does something relevant. Two +1/+1 counters.
Yeah. Makes that a 5/6 Minotaur.
It's got to be the play, right?
Pitches Simeon Spirit Guide. Oh no, he's just going to use
Kessig Wolfrun?
his Kessig Wolfrun here.
Yeah.
Oh, Gorkland Rampager. Speak of the devil. So Gorkland Rampager gives it +4/+4 and trample.
4 damage.
So not only does it beat up the Minotaur, but it tramples over for, I think, 4 got through there. So Hetrick down to 8 against 17 for Del
He
Basso.
probably wants to hold on to his Jun Charm so that he can exile Del Basso's graveyard and cascade into his Living Death again.
Got it.
His Living End.
That makes sense.
I think he has the mana to do it.
Yeah, he could, in theory, afford to take 1 hit from that Tarmogoyf, but then he gets himself in Lightning Bolt range. Looks like 1 card left for Del Basso.
And that's the math Hetrick's trying to figure out here.
Yeah, if he's on 8, if he takes 5, he's at 3.
It looks like he's not going to do that.
Yeah, he's going to use Jun Charm to exile Del Basso's graveyard so that this next Living End is... It's a pretty good one. I mean, Path exiled that Shriek Maw, so is it just the Deadshot Minotaur that will come back? Yeah, that sounds right. It's still pretty solid, right? I mean, kills the Tarmogoyf, gives him a 4/4. Dobasa will have a couple of turns to react, but only a couple.
Yep.
Exile your graveyard.
Yeah. More reading.
Remove all my graveyard.
Yep.
What could this be? What's it going to hit? Cascade's such an exciting mechanic. Flip through cards. Got to find something under 3. What could it be? Ah, this time it's Living End.
So lucky. Okay. Well, while these guys work out their graveyard shell game that they're playing here, we're going to go back and check in on Jon versus Shahar. That's Finkel and Shenhar. And we're underway. Jon leads off with a tapped Steam Vents.
And Jon only has 5 cards in his hand. He mulliganed.
Yeah, he did mulligan this game. Shahar will start at the typical 17 life that the Zoo deck starts on. And play a Wild Nicottle.
Go ahead.
Looks like Jon's got a couple of Electromancers in his hand.
Yep.
So a lot less worried about Lightning Bolt when there's backup.
All right. On the back table, Josh Shutter Layton even things up at 1 game apiece against Ben Lundquist. And that's Josh Shutter Layton with Scape Shift versus Ben Lundquist playing Affinity.
And here we may see the play that Kai Bude was talking about after winning his last game.
Oh, if you don't kill it?
You need to kill the Goblin Electromancer, was what Kai was saying. If some people feel like, oh, here's a window I can just tap out for Tarmogoyf, and then sometimes you die. Shahar is in fact going to tap out for Tarmogoyf.
Well.
Now, to be fair to Shahar, he didn't have a Lightning Bolt. He did not in fact have a way to kill the Electromancer. He's just summons the Tarmogoyf, crosses his fingers, hopes that he lives long enough to untap.
My cards you left? Draw. Yeah.
Jon drew a Blood Moon. $92,000 in Shahar's lifetime earnings. Not bad for 20.
Yeah.
20 years old, already has 138 pro points, a world championship title, 5 Grand Prix top 8s.
Pro Tour top 8 has still eluded him. He's one of that elite list of like,
Oh, yeah.
You're that ignominious list. Like, no one really wants to be on that list. You're like, well, it means I'm really good. But I still don't have that top 8 at the Pro Tour. Although, a world championship is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So Blood Moon would shut Jon out of blue here.
You generate red and blue.
Sort of.
Yeah, Jon's going to see how far he can get. He's got Electromancer. So he turns a profit in mana.
Yeah, that becomes a 1 mana spell. That makes you 2 mana and draws you a card.
Jon's hand is Ritual, Grape Shot, another Manamorphose, another Electromancer.
Tap this for a red.
He is going to Blood Moon.
Yep.
Blood moons. That turns to 3s, turns to 4.
Yep.
And now he's building up to Grape Shot.
Another blood.
Yeah, another red. I don't think a point though because I have a blood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna grape shot for
Yeah.
Is that
5.
Blood Moon, Electromancer, Ritual, Manamorphose, so that's a 5. How big's the Tarmogoyf?
Right now he is
He's
a
a 2/3, but
2-3. He'll be a 3-4.
so I just want to. I guess there's no real way.
How big's the Nicottle?
So I kill the title first.
Nicottle's a 2/2?
I just want to see judges rolling.
No, there are no
If I,
planes, right?
There are no
Because of the Blood
planes.
Moon.
Yeah.
I know the way order in which cards go graveyard. If I
The storm will go first.
and so if I announce grape shot targeting him, and then I redirect 3 triggers to Tarmogoyf and 1 trigger to him.
It only when summary results, with the result on top of the actual
Right.
card.
So all those ones resolve, and then this resolves and goes to the graveyard. Correct.
Right.
All right. So he's at 2/3 right now, right?
Yes.
All right. So this.
Oh, yeah. So the Grape Shot is at the bottom. The copies trigger and go on top, and then resolve one at a time. So often you have trouble, like, if you try to Lightning Bolt a 2/3 Tarmogoyf, it turns into a 3/4 before state-based effects kill it. In this case, though, the Grape Shot copies can kill the Tarmogoyf before the Grape Shot card ever gets into the graveyard. It's cute.
John's out of cards, though.
Yeah. I mean, he mulliganed. You get a Blood Moon draw. He can trade with the Nicodle. Like, he can trade Electromancer for Nicodle. And
It's going to be an interesting one.
yeah, I mean, Shahar he's been Blood Mooned. How much basic mana does Shahar even have?
So it sounds like the same old song from Michael Hetrick on the back table. Rest in Peace came down against him in that game we were watching, but he just went to hardcast my Deadshot Minotaur and kill you
Correct.
with combat damage.
No, it's a 2/2.
Is he a 3/3?
No, when he says plains and mountains, it's not the card name, it's what says right now. So these are mountains and mountains.
Okay, so it's
he's
a
a
1/1. So it's a 2/2.
Right. John is on the attack here. 2 Electromancers beating down. Shahar is going to trade and bolt the other.
John says, yeah, all right, fine.
Yeah, I mean, John's basically all in on Blood Moon this game. It's going to take him a while to sculpt a hand that can do anything, but he's hoping the Blood Moon is disruptive enough that he'll have that time.
I'll pay 2 life and Proby.
Let's take a look.
Right,
What's
John's
going
blue
on
cards
there?
are currently stranded in his hand.
True. Choke. That's a good one.
It's a 2/2.
Fulminator Mage can actually... No, they're all basics now, right? So Fulminator Mage doesn't...
I think they're still non-basic mountains, but I don't remember where we are and how that is ruled.
I mean, that can be cast with red mana, so that's like the one thing Shahar
Mirror Mage. No,
is capable of doing. Where did the deck list go? How much basic mana does Shahar have? He's got 2 forests and a plains.
I'm at 13, right?
Yep,
He's a 20 draw.
and that is all.
D for 4 tokens.
4 guys.
Go ahead.
I mean, the 2/2 Fulminator Mage's ability to block is actually relevant here.
Yes.
Alright, take 3.
Shahar has to bolt a token? Is that what's going on? Yeah. Okay, yeah, now Fulminator Mage comes down and blocks, which is good enough.
Yeah. They
They
are
are
non-basic
non-basic?
mountains, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Another back table result. Chris Fennell up wins 2 games to 0 over Tomohiro Saito.
5 cards.
So that's Storm defeats Infect.
And basic island for John. We see a lot of Storm in the feature match area right now. I think the metagame breakdown has actually now been posted over on the tech side of the coverage. Storm looks like there's 12 copies in the field. It's only 3% of the field. So we've seen Kai and John and Chris Fidel wander through the feature match area in the last 2 rounds, but that's fully 25% of the Storm players in the entire field. It may hang out. I mean, these guys seem to be having some success.
Here comes a bolt to clear the way.
Yeah.
And that actually does work.
Yeah, John's checking. Yeah, he thought that worked, and it does.
Go ahead.
3
Gets
goblins. Is that going to be good
Yep.
enough?
Yeah.
Oh, there's another lightning bolt.
2 goblins, is that good enough?
Maybe.
John's hand, just a Pyretic Ritual and a Desperate Ritual.
Crazy. Blood Moon plus Empty the Warrens for 2.
Go ahead.
I mean, for 4 guys. 2 copies of Empty the Warrens. No basics. Wow. Jon Finkel.
So Jon Finkel evens this up at 1 game apiece. We have another result on the back table, and it sounds like Ben Lundquist
Yeah.
just won.
Benny Beatdown.
Benny Beatdown delivered the Affinity Beatdown,
Got it.
and this is all we have left.
Okay. So
Wow.
just Finkel's the last match.
This was a brisk round.
True.
So we have Chris Fennell up, wins 2-0 over Saito.
That's Storm over Infect.
That's Storm over Infect. Michael Hetrick with Living End.
Through Rest in Peace
Through
twice.
Recipe. So he's 6-0 with that. So he's won
nice.
3 in a row here in Constructed.
And won a draft pod.
Yeah, over Federico Del Basso, and then Josh Utter-Layton was playing I believe, Scape Shift, and he lost to
Yes.
Ben Lindquist attacking
Affinity.
with robots. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
So let's take a look at Goblin Electromancer. I mean, this was a card. John really. This is a big deal card for him. Like
Right.
a lot of the Storm cards have been neutered by the ban list. They've been taken away. But this is a card that you know
I mean,
sort
he
of makes
started
this.
playing the Storm deck before this card existed, right?
Correct.
And then the bannings picked off some of the good blue, card drawing card selection, but Goblin Electromancer showed up, so John just kept playing it.
Yeah, and so like you know, this comes down early. You can see that sometimes it attacks, sometimes it trades with a creature.
Sometimes it trades with Wild Nacatl.
And sometimes it
because
turns-
Blood Moon's in play. That
And
was
sometimes
bizarre.
it turns your Manamorphose into a little mini ritual where you're actually
Absolutely.
going up a mana. And, you know, when you see like Pyromancer Ascension in play and a Goblin Electromancer, and, you know, like I now cast for 1 mana my Manamorphose, put 4 mana into my mana pool, draw 2 cards.
Right.
Things are just getting gross.
Absolutely.
So this is really the only place we've seen this, right? Is the Storm decks. Goblin Electromancer was built, it would seem, for this deck. And people in playtest, it was called Mastercaster and Spell Rever Goblin. I don't know what a Spell Rever Goblin is, but I guess Spell
some
Rever. I
is-it
get
thing.
it. I get it. It's revving up your spells.
Absolutely.
It's letting you do more fun stuff. So
Yeah, Storm, the 11th most played deck here this weekend. Zoo, number 1. No
Yeah.
surprise there. I mean,
Yeah.
Shahar's piloting one of the. Well, I think the most common version of the Zoo deck actually is the Naya deck,
Right.
the sort of biggish, Smiter, Knight of the Reliquary version.
It feels like the player base as a whole said, "Oh, Zoo,"
Yep.
and then went, "Oh,
Big Zoo.
Big Zoo," right? Like they
Maybe
all,
slightly bigger
They
Zoo.
all sort of moved in mass. In the past,
Yes.
we've had the Zoo deck,
Yes.
and then a group of players moved to a Big Zoo list, or
And
a
this
big
time it
or
was just
mid-range.
everyone.
Everybody just moved to the other side of the room, and it kind of tilted over on its
Yeah,
side.
it means that there's no aggro Zoo for them to prey upon.
Oh, there-
I mean, that's
there's-
why you go that
and,
way.
and there are a couple of aggro Zoo decks out there. I'm
couple.
curious to see how those decks fare.
Yeah. Second most played deck? Have you looked at the list?
I haven't looked at the list. I was looking more for players with decks as we were trying
right.
to queue up deck text today.
And so Zoo, by the way, number 1 played, but it's only 16% of the field.
Yeah, it's like 20. It's 20 something players, right?
Well, 64.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Right. It's less than 20% of the field. Right. That was the
Yeah.
that was the big number for a top deck. It's kind of like
Yeah,
pretty
there's
unusual to see
there's
something.
only one other deck that is above 8.33%.
Wow. What deck is that?
Splinter Twin.
Okay. Which has been the best deck in this format at some point.
Yeah, I feel like it was, Splinter Twin, Jund, Affinity were maybe the big 3. Previously, throw in Pod for a 4th. The Twin deck doesn't seem like it matches up all that great against Zoo. I mean, I think so much of the success that the Twin decks have had, Patrick Dickman in particular, they're playing this blue-red control deck where they can just, Bolt, Snapcaster, Vendilion Click. They can just deal 20 without ever comboing.
Right.
Everybody's playing cautious, holding, trying to wait for the combo to bust the combo up, and then all of a sudden they're just dead to Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster, Bolt you again.
Right.
That doesn't work as well against the Zoo decks. I mean, the fact that suddenly your Lava Mancers that can only deal 2 damage, your Electrolyzes can only deal 2 damage. Like, Wild Nacattl's pretty good. It's basically only the Bolt from those
Right.
lists that can kill the Nacatl. So, some of that redundant damage, card advantage, just doesn't work as well. So, I think what you've seen from the Twin decks, a lot of them have gone back to splashing white. So Wall of Omens has come back in. That can block a Nacatl. They've also gone to Anger of the Gods in a lot of those lists, which can wipe out the team.
Right.
So, can Twins survive? It definitely had to change up to react to the fact that Zoo came into the metagame as a heavy presence. A lot of people think it matches up just fine. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Okay. Well, I think we're ready to go back down to the floor because it looks like there's a tapped land in play for Shahar Shenhar. It's a Stirring Wildwood, and we are underway. Game 3.
That's not the turn 1 land he wants to play.
No.
That doesn't summon an attacking 3/3 on the second turn.
John's going to do a little sleight of hand.
Everyone's going to watch me at my finest here.
And that looks like he's got a hand that's going to be able to make a bunch of goblins.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So make it a lot easier for myself.
Yeah, I see empty. He's setting up he's going to have to run out turn 2 Electromancer and hope it lives. Yeah, they're stirring Wildwood.
Like, yeah.
I've got Finkel at Desperate Ritual, Electromancer. There you go. Oh, it's on the board now. Sleight of Hand, Empty, Past in Flames, Shivan Reef. So it's only the 2 lands. He's going to go turn to the Serum Visions that he drew, and he does come up with another land. So he doesn't like running out turn 2 Electromancer.
No.
He doesn't want to get it bolted.
Well, again, if he can play it on turn 3 and have 1 mana open to then Desperate Ritual into Desperate Ritual,
Right.
you know, he can start doing a lot of fairly filthy stuff, and then
Yeah.
you bring Past in Flames to the equation, and who knows what's going to happen.
Shahar does, in fact, have the Lightning Bolt. So.
No bucks.
17?
Yeah.
A lot of people will run the Electromancer out there. I mean, that's Jon's familiarity with the deck. It sure feels like the curve wants to go turn 2 Electromancer, turn 3 untap and go off, but
It sure looks like Shahar's thinking about tapping that red mana for something. He is, and he's going to play a Smiter. So I think Jon needs to draw another. Does he have another land in hand?
yeah, he does have one. Pretty sure I saw him draw an island. Yeah, he had Shivan Reef Island.
So he needed the second red source so he could
got
Electromancer
it,
and
got
then
it.
start ritualing.
Yeah, this works, right? Electromancer into Ritual, empty.
You know, unclear if that's necessarily what he wants to do.
Electromancer. First spell.
First spell. Yeah, he's adding up Storm.
Go to 15.
So Desperate Ritual would normally cost 2,
Correct.
but it's discounted by 1 because of the Electromancer, so it costs 1. It makes RR.
So another Desperate Ritual, go up to 5 red.
This one only costs 1, but it makes RRR,
Third.
so he's up to 5. No, sorry, I'm doing that wrong. I'm thinking of the wrong ritual.
Yeah, it's just
It's 2 to get 3, 2 to get 3, except
Yeah.
it's really 1 to get 3,
1 to get 3.
So
It's
they're dark
actually just
rituals.
straight dark rituals. Now he's going to Past in Flames back. He might bolt and then Past in Flames back everything.
Well, Past in Flames costs 4. He's got
But 3.
5. It's down to 3, which would let him flash back those 2 rituals.
Oh, bolt or
Yeah, he's going to throw in a bolt because he
I
can.
4 red. I use 3 of my red, leaving as 1 red.
Just let him do the play-by-play.
Yeah.
Past in Flames, that's my 5th spell. Flashback 2 Desperate Rituals, bring me up to 7 spells, 5 red. You know, Lightning Bolt U for my 8th spell. 17. And then we cast Empty the Warrens for my 9th spell.
Just 18 guys.
Goblins.
No problem. 18 goblins.
Go ahead.
Do we have 18 goblin tokens? Shahar just kind of laughs. What else is he going to do? Like, it's not even... I guess if he had left up red mana to bolt the goblin as a response to the first ritual, it would have worked because there would have
Right.
been nothing floating yet.
Yes.
Jon would not have been able to go off as a response. So yeah, he tapped out for Smiter. I don't know if that was the right line. Did he have a 2-mana creature? We do have 18 goblin tokens.
So we actually
Sure.
can see how many we have.
Yeah, Shahar's hand. I don't think he can afford to just attack with Nacatl and then do nothing. Like he had Knight of the Reliquary and Loxodon Smiter.
So he's going to Helix.
Yeah.
So we go 20.
He go back up to 20. He's actually at 17. He took 3 from a bolt there earlier.
Right.
But Jon just has to do 2 attack steps here.
Yep.
Attack for 18. Sure. Take 17. Or 3, go ahead. Yeah.
There's the hand.
Wow.
Jon Finkel, ladies and gentlemen.
Really?
In the deck, there's one in the deck.
God, I can't
Wow.
believe it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
That was so
Wow. I want to hear from Jon about how that deck works.
Yeah. I think I played this so much, but that's so much.
That was pretty amazing.
And somehow I just...
Welcome back to the booth. Brian David Marshall with Randy Buehler. We just watched Hall of Famer Jon Finkel
with effectively a turn 3 kill.
Yeah, make 18 goblins on turn 3.
Turn 3, 18 goblins. And a 2/2. Kind of like 19 goblins, right? One of them had a little bigger. One of them did a lot more work.
Yeah, got a little value along the way. He's like, I'll pick off that wild Nakadal, I'll ding you for 3,
right.
And, oh, by the way, 18 goblins.
Yeah, it was a 2/2 goblin, 18 goblins, a bolt to you, and a bolt to your Nakadal.
Yeah.
Is Shahar just not supposed to tap out? He has to play a creature there, right? He can say, like, Jon has 2 lands in play. Jon has 2 lands in play. He's done, a sleight of hand and a Serum Visions. That's all that has happened. I mean, I think Shahar has to play a creature there. I mean, in fact, the psychic play would have been to say go, leaving up Lightning Bolt, kill Goblin Electromancer as a response to the first ritual.
Right.
Although, to be fair, if Shahar has said go with 3 untapped lands, Jon's not going to go for it.
Probably not.
Wait.
Probably not.
And on the following turn, if he plays a 4th land, he can go Electromancer and potentially go off as a response to the Lightning Bolt. Yeah, no, I think it's a bad matchup for Shahar. The big Zoo deck it's just a little slow. You need to race. The Storm deck is capable of winning on turn 3. It's likely to win on turn 4, and Big Zoo it doesn't deal that much damage that quickly.
Right. It's really designed to withstand the early onslaught on the ground from other aggressive decks.
It wants to prey upon creature decks.
Yeah.
It's got enough interactivity to beat some of the combo decks. Like it's pretty good against Melirapod because your creature removal you can kill enough creatures that they can't stitch together a combo kill.
Right.
It's pretty good against Splinter Twin because again, it's a creature-based combo deck and your creature removal spells can disrupt their ability to kill you. But Storm, not really a creature-based combo deck. I mean, the Electromancer does some work, but I mean you can win without him and doesn't take much of a window. Turn 3, tap out for Smiter, kill you.
So we actually have Storm winning 2 matches in this top 8. I mean, in this feature match area. Sorry, Chris Fennell defeated Tomohiro Saito. Tomohiro Saito's running Infect.
Yeah.
So a deck that was very strong. Was very strong at Pro Tour RTR. It finished 9th, I believe.
Well, I mean, it got a card banned.
Yeah.
I mean, you can no longer kill people on turn 2 the way you used to be able to.
Sure. Jon Finkel, we saw, Living End, by the way, 3-0 so far. That's a real deck. And again,
they're all real decks.
And again, we're seeing all these creature decks. Living End might be one of those decks that can really prey on the format as it stands right now.
Although it's another deck that's just going to lose to Storm. I mean, what's your plan against Storm? Like, Fulminator Mage their Shivan Reef? That's not going to be fast enough.
No, that is true. And
Storm
of course,
might be really well positioned here.
Yeah.
He's got some pilots, too. Jon and Kai are both running it.
Jon's like, I knew it!
And he's going to watch Kai make the top 8 and get all the glory. I mean, Jon's already got 2 losses, so Kai didn't have any last we heard.
Just Kai was XO-1 the last time we saw him. And then, of course, in the last match, Josh Schroeder late and playing Scape Shift, another combo deck. Lost.
Yeah, speaking of deck, there's another, it's kind of a combo finish. Right, it's not really creature-based combos. Scape Shift might be well positioned this weekend too.
Yeah. It looked like they had a lot of answers, and they were able to go to the beatdown plan should things get disrupted. I saw them attacking with Primeval Titans.
Oh, right.
And just like, I'll just kill you this way. But Ben Lundquist and his Affinity was able to.
Affinity is still good.
Still good.
Yeah.
You're still just good. Did you stumble? Was that just? Did your knees just buckle for a second? You're dead.
Right. Yeah, I mean, one way to look at this is you've got 2 aggro decks, or you've got Affinity and you've got Zoo, but really, the way everybody took their Zoo deck was a little slower. So Affinity is the aggro deck. That's the one that can actually race a Storm deck, or.
Yeah. Well, let's find out a little bit more about the Storm deck. We have Tim Willoughby set up in the feature match area with none other than Hall of Famer Jon Finkel. So let's send it down to him.
Thank you very much there, Brian. Here I am with Jon Finkel. That was quite a match. We got to see the Storm deck winning a couple of different ways there. Do you have a preference for which way you want to do it, or happy anyway?
I'm really happy, to win anyway. I do prefer if I win without making mistakes. Shahar's great. I think he tested with the other Channel Fireball team, and obviously, not with us, the Pantheon. And I just decided not to kill his wild Nakadal. I can't really justify it. I can't say, there was some thought that went behind it. But I still won, so there's an old saying, better lucky than good. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy to get the win, even if it's not my most deserved win in my career.
Now, on the back table, we got to see, there was another Pyromancer Ascension Storm deck. We got to see the fabled turn 3 win. How often can you really get that with this deck?
If you absolutely have to go for it on turn 3, it's probably somewhere between 20 and 25% of the time.
And that needs the Electromancer and the Ascension, is that right?
No, you don't need the Ascension. You need an Electromancer. It's actually not that hard turn 3. You can just lead with an Electromancer, and then you can generate a lot of mana, and then a Past in Flames. I mean, obviously, it's not easy.
Sure.
First game I couldn't even really go off turn 4, although it was obviously rough because he had removal for my Electromancer. If they have removal for Electromancer, you basically can't go off turn 3. There's obvious, you can, ritual Ascension, Manamorphose. I mean, there are ones like that, but nothing that's realistic.
And of course, this is a deck that you've played for a number of tournaments now, so you've got a really good feel for how to play it. How much has it changed the format? Like, do you have to do anything differently now than you have done in previous events?
There's not much that's really that different. I think the Blood Moons inside were actually very good. They were a happy coincidence. I was playing a little bit with the deck online with Godenis. He had it in his account. He had a Storm deck, and in his side, his deck was like a suboptimal build, but in his sideboard he had Blood Moons, and the sideboards always kind of sucked, so I was just like, all right, let's just run with these Blood Moons. And it was really good against a lot of decks. And after just originally playing with it just to mess around, I then thought they were actually a very strong addition to the deck.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in that second game there, I mean, you had the Blood Rune out. It completely locked you out of blue, but that didn't seem to be a problem.
Most of the deck is actually red. I was pretty happy after I cast it. I could draw, lightning bolts I can still cast, and it's like obviously my rituals, my empties, and I have basic islands. I certainly have a better basic land mix than he does. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a little bit dangerous, right? It can definitely bite you in the butt, but it worked out pretty well for me that time.
Absolutely. Congratulations, John. Still in the thick of it, and defeating another world champion, a great way to go.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're going to head back to the booth now.
Well, there you go, Randy. We just heard Jon Finkel talk about, you can do it on turn 3. It's like about a 20% chance, but he'd rather go for turn 4.
Yep.
But I think we're ready to send this back to Rich Hagon at the news desk and let us get a little bit of a snack in before the next round.
Sounds like a plan.
So we'll send it back to them.
I tell you what, boys and girls, he sounded puzzled. It's Rich Hagon at the news desk. I live at the news desk. They pack me away in the news desk between Pro Tours. It's my home. Welcome along, everyone. Welcome to our home, the home of MTG. It's the news desk here at Pro Tour Born of the Gods. We've got about 30 minutes before the next round, and we've got a ton of great stuff lined up for you. Not least, we've crunched all the numbers, and those 10 teams that we've been following, we have all their numbers for you. So if you're a Channel Fireball fan, you want to know how all your favorite players are doing, we will show you in this interval show. If you want to know how Team Doge are doing, how the Japanese are doing, Team MTG Mint, the Pantheon, we've got it all coming your way. But before all of that, we have another deck tech. We promised you this, and we went for the name of a card that was in this deck. Well, this turns out to be Amulet of Vigor. And the man who is 6-0 with that deck is Matthias Hunt. Deck tech coming your way now.